This is the fifth review of the monetary policy stance. The Monetary Board met yesterday to discuss the monetary policy stance of the central bank yesterday. And the decision was to maintain policy interest rates at their current level. Accordingly, the standing deposit facility rate will remain at 7.25%, the standing lending facility rate at 8.5%, and the statutory reserve ratio at 7.5%. The Monetary Board considered global economic developments as well as domestic macroeconomic developments in arriving at this decision. Let me take you through some of those concerns. With regard to global economic developments, the International Monetary Fund, in its latest World Economic Outlook update, confirmed the strengthening of the global economy in 2018 and 19. So the IMF is expecting the global economy to grow by 3.9% in 2018 and 3.9% again in 2019 as well. With regard to monetary and financial conditions across the globe, the Federal Reserve kept its policy rates unchanged at the latest meeting, but they are expected to raise rates again in in September, and again in December. The Bank of England yesterday rates policy interest rates by 25 basis points, and the European Central Bank has already announced an end to its asset purchase program by end 2018, and they're likely to consider a rate hike in summer 2019 as well. Several regional economies, such as India, the Philippines, and Indonesia, have also experienced depreciation pressure recently, stemming from global financial conditions, and many of those countries have responded by raising policy interest rates. We have also highlighted in this slide the movements of global oil prices. The UK Brent averaged $71.65 a barrel so far during 2018. It was US dollars 54.76 per barrel during 2017. With regard to domestic inflation, we saw a jump in domestic inflation in the month of July. Year-on-year inflation jumped to 5.4% from 4.4% in the month of June. This jump was expected, and this was because of the transitory price pressures coming from upward adjustments to domestic petroleum prices, higher volatile food prices, as well as the base effect. We believe that in the month of August also, CCPI-based inflation will be above 5%, but from there onwards, it should settle below 5%. Stable underlying inflation, co-inflation, together with firmly anchored inflation expectations, indicate well-contained aggregate demand pressures at the moment. These conditions also support the projection of mid-single-digit inflation in the medium term as well. I also want to highlight that compared to the inflation levels, if you, whatever indicator that you take, compared to end 2017 levels, inflation is lower. With regard to domestic market interest rates, the short-term interest rates have started responding to liquidity surplus that we see at the moment. Overnight liquidity in the domestic money market is at a surplus of around 40 billion at the moment. The average weighted call market rate started moving downwards from the upper bound of the corridor. So about a week ago, it was average weighted call market rate was at 8.5%. Now it has moved to about 8.34% from that upper bound of the policy rate corridor. The Treasury bill rates have also declined gradually in the past couple of auctions, and we have seen some downward movement in the lower end of the yield curve as well. But if you look at the movement of selected other market interest rates, you see that they are still downward rigid. We are yet to see a downward movement in market interest rates, meaning bank deposit and lending rates. But we believe that those other market interest rates, particularly lending rates, would adjust downwards, thereby reducing the high real interest rates that we are seeing at the moment. With regard to monetary aggregates, the growth of money supply continued its declining trend. Money supply growth was at 14.9% year on year in June 2018. These are dropped from 15% that we saw in the previous month. Private sector credit growth also decelerated to 14.9% year on year in June 2018 from 15.1% in the previous month. In absolute terms, however, private sector credit grew by 82.6 billion rupees in the month of June. But in general, during June, we see a jump in private sector credit growth. In June 2017, it was 79.5 billion. In June 2016, it was 75.3 billion. We expect that private sector credit growth will be at about 13 to 14% by end of 2018. That should release about $650 billion, 50 billion rupees to the economy, compared to about 613 billion rupees worth of private sector credit released to the economy in 2017. If you look at the external sector performance, the external sector recorded a mixed performance. Export earnings grew by 9.8% year on year to US dollars 924 million in the month of May. Export earnings on a cumulative basis in the first 5 months increased by 6.7%. With regard to import expenditure, that increased by 7.7% in the month of May. There was an increase of 11.8% in import expenditure cumulatively in the first 5 months of the year. The growth of export earnings outpaced the growth of import expenditure in the month of May, thereby containing the trade gap to some extent. If you look at earnings from tourism and workers' remittances grew by 0.9% to US dollars 3.6 billion in the first half of the year, and earnings from tourism increased to around US dollars 2.2 billion in the first half of the year. And the chart here indicates the contribution to year-on-year growth of import expenditure. I would like to highlight the yellow blocks and the red blocks shown in this chart. Yellow blocks refer to gold imports. With the tax introduced on gold imports, gold imports have reduced substantially. And the red blocks are about vehicles classified under consumer goods imports. So that has been a concern for several months, and we believe that it will be addressed to some extent by the recent measures taken by the government. With regard to portfolio capital flows and official reserves, we saw some outflows of foreign investment from the rupee-denominated government securities market. This was similar to the experience of other emerging market economies. We saw a net outflow of US dollars 229 million up to the 1st of August 2018. From the Colombo Stock Exchange, we saw secondary market outflows. That's what we see on a day-to-day basis. But if you take both primary and secondary market flows, we still see a net inflow of US dollars 44.7 million so far during the year. Official reserves are estimated at $8.4 billion by end July 2018. That's compared to $8 billion we had at the end of 2017. This slide is about the exchange rate. The depreciation pressure has eased to some extent from late July 2018. The rupee has depreciated against the US dollar by 4.3% so far during the year. And if you look at the movements in international currencies against the US dollar so far during the year, you see that the Chinese yuan depreciating by 5.2%, Philippine peso by 6%, sorry, Indian rupee by 6.6%, Korean won by 5.5%, Indonesian rupiah by 6.6%, Australian dollar by 5.5%, compared to this 4.3% depreciation of the Sri Lankan rupee. On a net basis, the central bank has absorbed about US dollars 140 million so far during the year from the domestic market. So these were the main factors considered by the Monetary Board in arriving at the decision to maintain monetary policy interest rates unchanged at the current levels. And this decision is consistent with its aim of stabilizing inflation at mid-single-digit levels in the medium term, thereby contributing to a high and sustainable growth trajectory of the Sri Lankan economy. Thank you. Let me invite my colleagues to make brief presentations in Sinhala and Tamil.
සුබෝදෑසනක්. අද දින ශ්‍රී ලංකා මහ බැංකුවේ මුදල් මණ්ඩලය 2018 වසරේ 5 වන මුදල් ප්‍රතිපත්ති විවරණය නිවේදනය කළා. ඒ අනුව ප්‍රතිපත්ති පොලි අනුපාතික දැන්ට පවතින මට්ටමේ නොවෙනස්ව පවත්වා ගැනීමට මුදල් මණ්ඩලය තීරණය කරා. ඒ අනුව නිත්‍ය තැන්පතු පහසුකම් අනුපාතිකය 7.2.25 මට්ටමෙත්, නිත්‍ය ණය පහසුකම් අනුපාතිකය 8.5 මට්ටමෙත්, ව්‍යවස්ථාපිත සංචිත අනුපාතය 7.5 මට්ටමෙත් නොවෙනස්ව පවතිනවා. මුදල් මණ්ඩලය මෙම තීරණය ගැනීම සඳහා විවිධ අපේක්ෂිත දේශීය සහ ගෝලීය ආර්ථික වර්ධනයන් දැන්ට පවතින වර්ධනයන් සලකා බැලුවා. මම ඊටාම කෙටියෙන් මෙම වර්ධනයන් පිළිබඳව ඉදිරිපත් කරන්න බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා. ජාත්‍යන්තර පරිසරය සැලකුවොත් අපි දකිනවා මූල්‍ය අරමුදල විසින් ගෝලීය ආර්ථික වර්ධනය ශක්තිමත් වනු ඇති බවට තහවුරු කරලා තියෙනවා 2018-19 කියන වසර දෙකේම. ඒත් එක්කම එක්සත් ජනපද ඩොලරය අපි දකිනවා ජාත්‍යන්තර වෙළඳපොලේ ශක්තිමත් වෙනවා. හේතුව දැඩි මුදල් ප්‍රතිපත්ති ස්ථාවරයක් එක්සත් ජනපදයේ මේ වන විට අනුගමනය කරමින් පවතිනවා. ඒත් එක්කම බොහෝ රටවල් එම ස්ථාවරය හා අනුකූල ස්ථාවරයන් මුදල් ප්‍රතිපත්ති ස්ථාවරයන් අනුගමනය කරන බව අපට පෙනී යනවා. ඒ වගේම විවිධ නැගී එන වෙළඳපොළ ආර්ථිකයන් සලකලා බැලුවොත් අපට පේනවා ඔවුන්ගේ විනිමය අනුපාතික යම් අප්‍රමාණ වීමේ පීඩනයක් මේ වෙනකොට අත්දකිනවා. ඒ වගේම ගෝලීය ජාත්‍යන්තර තෙල් මිල ගණන් ඉහළ මට්ටමක පවතිනවා. දේශීය ආර්ථිකය සලකා බැලුවොත් අපි අපේක්ෂා කළ ආකාරයටම ජූලි මාසයේදී උද්දමනය ඉහළ ගියා. නමුත් මෙම ඉහළ යාම තාවකාලික ඉහළ යාමක් විදිහටයි අපි සලකන්නේ. හේතුව ඛනිජ තෙල් මිල ගණන් ඉහළ නැංවීම, ඒ වගේම ආහාර මිල ගණන් ඉහළ යාම වැනි හේතු නිසා මෑත කාලීනව උද්දමනයේ තාවකාලික ඉහළ යාමක් දකින්නට පුළුවන්. අපි විශේෂයෙන් නිරීක්ෂණය කරන ආර්ථිකයේ මූලික උද්දමනය එහෙම නැත්නම් යටිදරි උද්දමනය එය මනාව පාලනය වී ඇති බවක් අපිට පෙනී යනවා. ඒ අනුව ආර්ථිකයේ ඉල්ලුම් පීඩන පාලනය වී එය මැදිකාලීන වශයෙන් අපගේ අරමුණ වන තනි අංකයක උද්දමනයක් පවත්වා ගැනීමට දායක වනු ඇතැයි අපි අපේක්ෂා කරනවා. මේ වෙනකොට මුදල් වෙළඳපොලේ තියෙන්නේ අතිරික්ත ද්‍රවශීලතා මට්ටමක්. ඊට ප්‍රතිචාර දක්වමින් කෙටිකාලීන පොලි අනුපාතික ක්‍රමක්‍රමයෙන් පහළ යමින් පවතිනවා. ඒ වගේම රාජ්‍ය සුරකුම්පත්වල පළදා අනුපාතිකත් මේ වන විට පහළ යමින් පවතිනවා. මෙම තත්ත්වයන්ට ප්‍රතිචාර දක්වමින් අනෙකුත් වෙළඳපොළ අනුපාතික විශේෂයෙන් ණය අනුපාතික අපි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා ක්‍රමක්‍රමයෙන් ඉදිරි කාලයේදී අඩු වෙයි කියලා. ඒ අනුව ණය ගනුවන් සඳහා බලපාන ඉහළ පොලි අනුපාතික අඩු වෙනු ඇතැයි මහා බැංකුව අපේක්ෂා කරනවා. අපි අපේක්ෂා කළ පරිදිම ආර්ථිකයේ මුදල් සහ ණය වර්ධනය ක්‍රමක්‍රමයෙන් පහුගිය කාලය පුරාම අඩු වෙමින් පැවතුණා. මේ වන විටත් ණය ප්‍රසාරණයත් මුදල් ප්‍රසාරණයත් 15ට වඩා අඩු මට්ටමක පවතිනවා. කෙසේ වුණත් ආර්ථිකයේ ණය සැපයුම ආර්ථික කටයුතු සඳහා අවශ්‍ය කරන මට්ටමේ වර්ධනයක් මේ වන විට වාර්තා කරනවා. මුදල් අංශයේ පවතින මෙම ස්ථායීතාව අපි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා ඉදිරියේදී ආර්ථිකයේ වර්ධනය සඳහා හිතකර ලෙස දායක වනු ඇති බවට. විදේශීයංශය සලකා බැලුවොත් අපි දකින්නේ කිසියම් වූ මිශ්‍ර සංවර්ධනයන් විශේෂයෙන් අපනයන ආනයන සලකා බැලුවොත් මැයි මාසේ නවතම දත්තා අනුව අපට පේනවා අපනයන ඉපයුම් ආනයන වියදමට වඩා වැඩි වෙලා තියෙනවා. ඒ අනුව වෙළඳ හිඟය යම් ප්‍රමාණයකට අඩු වෙලා තියෙනවා කලින් මාසයට සාපේක්ෂව. විශේෂයෙන් මෑත කාලීනව විවිධ ක්‍රියාමාර්ග ගනු ලැබුවා. රන් ආනයන සහ රථවාහන ආනයන ඉහළ යාම සම්බන්ධයෙන් අධික වර්ධනයක් නිරීක්ෂණය කිරීම නිසා විවිධ ක්‍රියාමාර්ග ගනු ලැබුවා. එහි ප්‍රතිඵල වශයෙන් අපි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා මෙම වෙළඳ හිඟය තවදුරටත් ඉදිරියේදී අඩු වෙනු ඇති බවට. ඒත් එක්කම සේවාංශය සලකා බැලුවොත් අපි දකිනවා සංචාරක ඉපයීම් ශක්තිමත් වර්ධනයක් වාර්තා කරනවා. ඒත් එක්කම විදේශීය සේවා නියුක්තිකයන්ගේ ප්‍රේෂණත් යම් හිතකර වර්ධනයක් වාර්තා කරනවා. ආර්ථිකයට ගලායන ප්‍රාග්ධන ප්‍රවාහ සලකා බැලුවොත් අපි දකිනවා වෙනත් රටවල දකින්න පුළුවන් අත්දැකීම වගේම අපේ රටේත් කිසියම් වූ ප්‍රාග්ධන ප්‍රවාහ ඉවතට ඇදී යාමක් වාර්තා කරනවා විශේෂයෙන් රජයේ සුරකුම්පත් වෙළඳපොලෙන්. කෙසේ නමුත් කොටස් වෙළඳපොළ සලකා බැලුවොත් ද්විතීය වෙළඳපොලේ කිසියම් වූ ප්‍රාග්ධන ඉවතට ගලා යාමක් දකින්නට ලැබුණත් ශුද්ධ වශයෙන් ප්‍රාථමික වෙළඳපොලේ තියෙන යහපත් වර්ධනයන් නිසා ශුද්ධ ප්‍රාග්ධන ලැබීමක් කොටස් වෙළඳපොලේ වාර්තා කරනවා. අපගේ ජාත්‍යන්තර සංචිත මේ වන විට එක්සත් ජනපද ඩොලර් බිලියන 8.4ක පමණ මට්ටමේ පවතිනවා ජුලි මාස අවසානයේ වන විට. ඒත් එක්කම අවසාන වශයෙන් අපි දකිනවා විනිමය අනුපාතිකය මත තියෙන පීඩනය අප්‍රමාණ වීමට පවතින පීඩනය කිසියම් දුරකට සමනය වෙමින් පවතින බව. ඒ අනුව මේ වන විට එක්සත් ජනපද ඩොලරයට සාපේක්ෂව රුපියල 4.3කින් පමණ අවප්‍රමාණය වෙලා තියෙනවා. මෙය ලෝක වෙළඳපොලේ මා කලිනුත් පැවසු ආකාරයට අපි දකිනවා ජාත්‍යන්තර වෙළඳපොලේ ඩොලරය ශක්තිමත් වෙනවා, වෙනත් රටවල විනිමය අවප්‍රමාණය වෙනවා. විශේෂයෙන් මෙම දකුණු පැත්තේ තියෙන ප්‍රස්ථාරයෙන් ඔබට පේනවා විවිධ රටවල විනිමය අනුපාතික ඉහළ මට්ටම් වලින් අවප්‍රමාණය වෙලා තියෙනවා. චීනය, පිලිපීනය, ඉන්දියාව, කොරියාව, ඕස්ට්‍රේලියාව වගේ රටවල. ඒ රටවල්ලට සාපේක්ෂව ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේ විනිමය අඩු වේගයකින් අප්‍රමාණය වෙලා තියෙනවා. ඒ අනුව ඒ අතරම මහ බැංකුවට හැකියාව ලැබිලා තියෙනවා මේ වන විට දේශීය වෙළඳපොළ තුලින් විදේශ විනිමය වෙළඳපොළ තුලින් එක්සත් ජනපද ඩොලර් මිලියන 134ක් පමණ ශුද්ධ වශයෙන් මිලදී ගන්න. මෙම සංවර්ධනයන් සියල්ල සලකා බලලා මහ බැංකුව තීරණය කළා දැනට පවතින මුදල් ප්‍රතිපත්ති ස්ථාවරයේ යෝග්‍ය බවට. ඒ අනුව ප්‍රතිපත්ති පොලි අනුපාතිකයේ මට්ටමේ පවත්වා ගැනීමට මහ බැංකුව තීරණය කරා. මෙම තීරණය හේතුවෙන් මැදිකාලීනව උද්ධමනය මැදි තනි අගයක මට්ටමක පවත්වා ගන්නත් ඒ වගේම ආර්ථිකයේ ඉහළ සහ තිරසාර වර්ධන ශක්්‍යතාවට අනුබල දෙන්නටත් හැකියාව ලැබෙනු ඇතැයි මහ බැංකුව විශ්වාස කරනවා. ස්තුතියි.
அனைவருக்கும் காலை வணக்கங்கள். நாணய சபையானது நேற்று நடைபெற்ற அதனது 5வது நாணய கொள்கை தொடர்பான கூட்டத்தில் அதன் கொள்கை வட்டி வீதங்களை மாற்றமின்றி தற்போதைய மட்டங்களில் பேணுவதென தீர்மானித்து கொண்டது. இவ்வாறான தீர்மானத்திற்கு வெளிநாடு மற்றும் உள்நாட்டு துறை மற்றும் வெளிநாட்டு சூழலில் காணப்பட்ட அபிவிருத்திகள் கவனத்தில் எடுத்துக் கொள்ளப்பட்டன. அந்த வகையிலே வெளிநாட்டு அபிவிருத்தினை பொறுத்தவரையிலே பன்னாட்டு நாணய நிதியமானது 2018 மற்றும் 2019 ஆண்டு காலப்பகுதியிலே உலக பொருளாதாரமானது ஒரு ஸ்திரமான மீட்சியை அடையும் என எதிர்பார்க்கப்பட்டுள்ளதுடன் நாடுகளுக்கு இடையிலே ஒரு சமச்சீரற்ற வகையிலான விரிவாக்கம் ஒன்றும் காணப்படும் என்பதனை உறுதி செய்துள்ளது. அபிவிருத்தி அடைந்த நாடுகளை பொறுத்தவரையிலே முக்கியமான அபிவிருத்தி அடைந்த நாடுகளில் நாணய போக்கானது ஒரு இறுக்கமடைந்து செல்லும் நிலைமையிலே காணப்படுகின்றது. ஏனைய பிராந்திய பொருளாதாரங்களை பொறுத்தவரையில் உதாரணமாக இந்தியா, பிலிப்பீன்ஸ் மற்றும் இந்தோனேஷியா போன்ற நாடுகளில் நாணய மாற்று வீதம் தொடர்பான சில அழுத்தங்கள் பதிவு செய்யப்பட்டுள்ளதையும் காணக்கூடியதாக இருக்கின்றது. உள்நாட்டினை பொறுத்தவரையிலே பணவீக்கமானது ஏற்கனவே எதிர்பார்த்தது போல ஜூலை மாதத்தில் ஒரு தற்காலிகமான அதிகரிப்பு ஒன்றினை பதிவு செய்த பொழுதிலும் நடுத்தர கால பகுதியிலே இது தொடர்ந்தும் நடு ஒற்றை இலக்க மட்டத்தில் காணப்படும் என எதிர்பார்க்கப்படுகின்றது. இவ்வாறான நடுத்தர கால போக்கானது மையப்பணவீக்கத்திலான தொடர்ச்சியான மிதமான தன்மை மற்றும் தாழ்ந்த பணவீக்க எதிர்பார்ப்புகள் போன்றவற்றுடன் மட்டுப்படுத்தப்பட்ட கூட்டுக்கேள்வி போன்றவற்றினால் இது ஆதரவளிக்கப்படும் என எதிர்பார்க்கப்படுகின்றது. அதே போல வட்டி வீதங்களை பொறுத்தவரையிலே சந்தையில் காணப்படுகின்ற மிகைத்திரவத்தன்மையினை பிரதிபலித்து குறுங்கால வட்டி வீதங்கள் ஒரு வீழ்ச்சியினை அண்மை காலத்தில் பதிவு செய்ததனை காணக்கூடியதாக இருக்கின்றது. இவ்வாறான வீழ்ச்சியானது ஏனைய சந்தை வட்டி வீதங்களான வணிக வங்கிகளின் கடன் வழங்கல் வீதங்களில் ஒரு வீழ்ச்சியினை ஏற்படுத்தும் என எதிர்பார்க்கப்படுகின்றது. நாணய கூட்டுகள் மற்றும் தனியார் துறை தொடர்பான கொடுக்கண்ணை பொறுத்தவரையிலே அவை அதன் வளர்ச்சியிலான வீழ்ச்சியினை தொடர்ச்சியாக அதே போக்கில் கொண்டு செல்வதை காணக்கூடியதாக இருக்கின்றது. இந்த தொடர்ச்சியான வீழ்ச்சி மற்றும் விரும்பப்பட்ட மட்டத்திலான அவர்களது வளர்ச்சியானது நாணயத்துறை தொடர்ந்தும் ஒரு உறுதியான நிலையில் காணப்படுவதனையும் இலங்கை பொருளாதாரத்தின் வளர்ச்சிக்கு ஆதரவளிக்கக்கூடிய வகையில் காணப்படுவதனையும் உறுதி செய்துள்ளது. வெளிநாட்டுத்துறையினை பொறுத்தவரையிலே ஒரு கலப்பான செயலாற்றம் ஒன்று காணப்பட்டுள்ளது. 2018 ஆண்டின் மே மாதத்தில் ஏற்றுமதி வருவாய்கள் மீதான வளர்ச்சியானது இறக்குமதி செலவினத்தினை விட ஒரு அதிகரிப்பினை பதிவு செய்து வர்த்தக பற்றாக்குறையிலே ஒரு குறைவினை ஏற்படுத்துவதற்கு காரணமாகியுள்ளது. சுற்றுலா வருவாய்கள் மற்றும் தனியார் பண அனுப்புதல்களை பொறுத்தவரையிலே அவை தொடர்ந்தும் வர்த்தக பற்றாக்குறையின் குறையினால் உருவாக்கப்பட்ட இடைவெளியினை பகுதி அளவில் ஈடு செய்வதற்கு வசதி அளித்துள்ளன. அண்மை காலத்தில் தங்கம் மற்றும் மோட்டார் வாகன இறக்குமதி தொடர்பாக மேற்கொள்ளப்பட்ட நடவடிக்கைகளின் காரணமாக எதிர்காலத்தில் நடைமுறை கணக்கு மீது ஒரு சாதகமான தாக்கம் ஒன்று எதிர்பார்க்கப்படுகின்றது. நிதியியல் கணக்கு மீதான உட்பாய்ச்சல்கள் வெளிப்பாய்ச்சல்களை நோக்கும் பொழுது அரச பிணையங்கள் மீதான சந்தையிலே ஒரு ஏனைய நாடுகளினை போல ஒரு வெளிப்பாய்ச்சல் ஒன்று காணப்பட்ட பொழுதிலும் கொழும்பு பங்கு பரிவர்த்தனையில் 2ஆம் தர சந்தையில் ஒரு வெளிப்பாய்ச்சல் காணப்பட்ட பொழுதிலும் முதலாந்தர சந்தை மற்றும் 2ஆம் தர சந்தை இரண்டையும் உள்ளடக்கிய பாய்ச்சலானது தொடர்ந்தும் ஒரு உட்பாய்ச்சலினையே காட்டியுள்ளது. இந்த வகையிலே இந்த நிதியியல் கணக்கிலான மாற்றங்களினை பிரதிபலித்து நாட்டின் அலுவல்சார் மொத்த ஒதுக்குகள் 2018 ஆண்டின் ஜூலை இறுதியில் ஐக்கிய அமெரிக்க டாலர்கள் 8.4 பில்லியன் பெறுமதியாக காணப்பட்டன. நாணய மாற்று வீதம் தொடர்பான அழுத்தங்களினை பொறுத்தவரையிலே 2018 ஆண்டின் ஜூலை மாத இறுதி அளவில் இருந்து ஒரு தளர்வொன்று காணப்பட்டதை காணக்கூடியதாக இருக்கின்றது. இலங்கை ரூபாவானது ஐக்கிய அமெரிக்க டாலருக்கு எதிராக 4.3% பெருமானத்தை அடைந்துள்ளது. இது ஏனைய பிராந்திய நாடுகளுடன் ஒப்பிடும் பொழுது மிதமானதாகவே காணப்படுகின்றது. இவ்வாறு மத்திய வங்கியினால் அதன் கொள்கை வட்டி வீதங்களை தற்போதைய மட்டத்தில் பேணுவது என்பது தொடர்பான தீர்மானமானது நடுத்தர காலத்தில் பணவீக்கத்தினை நடு ஒட்டை இலக்க மட்டத்தில் பேணுவதனையும் அதன் மூலம் இலங்கையின் உயர்ந்த மற்றும் ஸ்திரமான வளர்ச்சி பாதைக்கு ஆதரவளிப்பதனையும் நோக்கமாக கொண்டுள்ளது. நன்றி.
Thank you very much, and thank you to all of you for coming by as well. As has been customary now, I'll just make a few remarks, essentially highlighting a few of the points that my colleagues have already made. And as on the past few occasions, I'll try and give you a flavor of the factors that influence the Monetary Board's decision to maintain the status quo as far as the policy rates are concerned. As you saw in the presentation, there were a number of factors that favored or that supported an easing of monetary policy. These included the fact that the output gap continued to be pretty significant. Last time we met, I think I said that growth was likely to be in the 4 to 4.5% range for the whole of this year. This is not really a formal estimate that I'm giving you, but if one's realistic, it's unlikely that growth is going to be more than 4% this year. That depends, seeing how the developments are taking place, and our potential growth rate we see as being 5.75. So there is a significant output gap, and one can make a case for easing monetary policy because growth is well below the potential rate of growth. Another factor which favors easing is the high nominal and real interest rates. Real interest rates in particular are quite high. And if one takes that side by side with the government's fiscal consolidation program, clearly one needs to ask oneself the question whether the economy is being squeezed too much with the tightening of fiscal policy as well as relatively high interest rates. So the squeeze, are we squeezing the economy too much? Because we have relatively high nominal and real interest rate on the one hand and fiscal consolidation on the other. So that's a factor that the monetary board deliberated upon. Then we are also seeing a moderation of both monetary and credit aggregates. M2B is 4.9 was 14.9%, and that was the same number for private sector credit growth. And core inflation, which is what monetary policy can influence, remains well within the target range. And the inflation outlook also remains favorable. You would have seen there's been a small uptick in the rate of inflation. For June, I think it went up to 5.4%, and sorry, for July, right? The inflation number was for July. For July, went up to 5.4%, and it's likely to be at that level or a little higher in August as well. And then we see it easing off again, moving towards the end of the year, and we expect it to end well within the target range again by the end of the year. So inflation, the inflation outlook, as I said, remains well anchored, and inflation expectations as well. There's been a little bit of an uptick in our expectation survey shows that the corporate sector has both corporate sector, households, and the academia see some increase in inflation. I think they've been influenced by the adjustment to the administered price of fuel and the depreciation of the currency. But again, it remains within manageable levels. We don't see any sharp uptick in inflationary expectations. So those are the factors which argue in favor of an easing of monetary policy, but there are an equal number of factors which argue in favor of tightening policy or maintaining the status quo. And this, again, the first point to make here is the tightening of monetary policy in advanced countries. The US has already started tightening. The ECB has announced that it's going to wind down its asset purchase program. The Bank of England has tightened, and we've seen other central banks. The RBI tightened a couple of days ago. Global interest rates are easing up. We've seen particularly the benchmark US bond yields again going up in the recent days. So that's one factor, the policy tightening in advanced countries. Because if we allow the differential between our rates and the rates, the benchmark rates, particularly in the US, if that differential is reduced, then clearly there is an incentive for investors, foreign investors in our government securities to move out. We have, as you've seen from the number, there has been some outflow, but if that differential gets squeezed, you could see an acceleration of that outflow. So that is something that the Monetary Board took into account. Then there's also been, we can see there's depreciation pressure in the EM space. Several countries, as you saw in the presentation, have actually had their currencies depreciation more than the 4.3% recorded by the Sri Lankan rupee. And if we reduce interest rates, that could trigger further pressure on the exchange rate at a time when a number of emerging market currencies are experiencing depreciation pressure. Also, again, within the emerging market space, a number of countries have actually increased interest rates. So again, you could get a repositioning of portfolio capital if you see some emerging market countries increasing their interest rates and we reduce it, then you could see some repositioning which could have an adverse impact on the investment of foreign money in our government securities. The other thing, another factor that the Monetary Board took into account was the fact that the trade deficit had widened. And if one reduces interest rates, it's possible that that there would be an increase in aggregate demand, and some of that, or quite a lot of that, could leak into imports, which is what generally happens in the Sri Lankan economy. When there is a loosening of monetary policy, there is quite often a heavy leakage into imports, which could aggravate the deterioration that we have seen in the first 5 months as far as the trade account is concerned. And another factor that the Monetary Board watches very carefully in determining the direction of its monetary policy is the fiscal performance. The government has actually met its fiscal targets for the first 6 months, but the Monetary Board is constantly vigilant to see how fiscal policy is going. If there is any slippage in fiscal policy, clearly monetary policy needs to be adjusted to accommodate that. If you look at the monetary aggregates as a whole, those have come out pretty well, as I just mentioned and as you saw in the presentation. So on that side, as on the monetary side, on price stability side, things seem to be pretty good. It's also encouraging that the average weighted call money rate has begun to ease a little bit, and the treasury bill rate has also come down. But a matter of some concern is the fact that bank deposit and lending rates are as rigid as they are being downwards. In fact, at the monthly meeting with bank CEOs, we did express this concern to them. We do think that the bank deposit and lending rates now need to come down. So we will monitor that and see how that develops. On the trade deficit, actually over the first 5 months has worsened by about $716 million US. Of that amount, 350 million can be attributed to the increase in vehicle imports. So pretty much half the deterioration in the trade account was accounted for by vehicle imports. I see all of you reported in the last day or two that the central bank wanted something done about it, and that is why we wanted something done about it, because 350 million increase in vehicle imports over the last, for the first 5 months of the year, which accounted for half the deterioration of 716 million. Again, one of the positive developments is that I think when we met last time, we talked about gold imports. I think that was the time when the government adjusted the duty, and that has had the desired effect, as you saw in the presentation. So gold imports have eased off. So going forward, hopefully the pressure on the trade account should be reduced, because 2 of the 3 pressure points in the trade account, that is gold and hopefully now motor vehicles, would be contained. The other factor is oil imports, of course, and that's beyond our control, given it depends on the global trends. But there is some speculation that there may be a little bit of an easing of oil prices, but it's very difficult to say, because geopolitical factors have become so uncertain, and that can play into oil prices in very different ways at any given time. Finally, on our reserves, The reserves, I think the recorded reserves was 8.4 billion US dollars. I mean, we went up to close to 10 after the international sovereign bond issuance, but there have been payments since then. We think we'll finish the year with about 9 billion US dollars as far as reserves are concerned, and that's a comfortable number. It's about 5 months of import cover. From 8.4 billion, 1 billion dollars will come in on the syndicated loan in 2 tranches of 500 million, one in August and the other in October. Thank you. And if everything goes well, there should be one more IMF tranche of 250 million, and we are working towards a panda bond issuance before the end of the year. Yes, that's got you interested. A panda bond issuance before the end of the year. We went on a non-deal roadshow to China, and there seems to be good interest in terms of we met some banks, we met some insurance companies and other institutional investors, and perhaps most encouraging of all was our meeting with the People's Bank of China, their central bank, where the deputy governor, totally unsolicited, suggested that we set up a joint task force to examine how Sri Lanka could explore the panda bond market. Maybe about 250 million. So, all in all, you have $1 billion on the syndicated loan, 250 million on the IMF, if everything remains on track, and another 250 million, hopefully from a panda bond. So we are working towards finishing that this year. So there's about 1.5 billion to come in. There are payments, of course. So we think, on balance, we'll be close to 9 billion, which is a reasonable number to have. So both in terms of price stability and in terms of external viability, we think we are in a reasonably comfortable place.